Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Gran Turismo 7 Daily Race race and strategy guide / preview. We're off to Interlagos in Brazil and we are in the Group 3 machinery. Only the second time that Interlagos, believe it or not, has actually been used for Daily Race C, and the last time we used it was in a Group 1 race. So actually making its Group 3 Interlagos debut on Gran Turismo 7 for Daily Race C. I bet you didn't expect that. Anyway, settings for this one are 12 laps. We've got tyre wear at times 6, fuel at times 1. We've got the soft and the medium tyres available. Only the medium tyres are actually mandatory. BOP is on, damage is light, it's a rolling start, and slipstream is real. So this race has come out at the same time as the new update 1.36. Now I had a very strong inkling this race would be Group 3, but I didn't really want to do the strategy guide prior to the update just in case a few things had changed. Now turns out not a lot has changed in the game from what I can tell with update 1.36. Somewhat disappointing overall in my opinion, but I'll maybe put a wee video out on that just for the channel members a little bit later on in the day. Let's jump into the first race though. I think this was the first race maybe of the week for Daily Race C. It was the 9 o'clock slot. I'm not sure if there was a race prior to it. We're in the Mercedes AMG 2060. Now the only reason I chose this car is I actually used it the night before when we did some open lobbies, albeit with slightly different settings to this race, but I had a little bit of experience in this car. It's early on in the week, you can kind of get away with driving just about any car in the early days of a race and be fairly competitive. Now I've only done 2 races so far, both of which you're going to see on this video. And one thing that I did notice in both of them is that there is a lot of chaos at the start, and I'm not sure if that is the result of the rolling start being a lot closer than normal. It certainly looks closer than normal. I started in P9 and I was only 2.5 seconds off P1 going into turn 1. So I think the whole pack is going to be within about 4 seconds down into turn 1. It's going to lead to a lot of concertina effects, and it's going to lead to a lot of chaos and racing and jostling for position in the early stages of the racing. Hogston, good friend of the channel, has somehow picked up a 5-second penalty. I never even noticed that at the time in the race. I seen he had a penalty, I actually thought it was a 0.5 he'd picked up for a corner cut. But yeah, there's a lot of jostling for position in the opening laps. It was the same in the second race that I did as well. So just pick your lines, try to survive at the start, and hopefully you'll make up a few positions as the chaos unfolds and you try to stay out of it. So moving on to the strategy, only the medium tyres are available. They're not just available, only the medium tyres are mandatory for this one. We do have the soft tyres available as well, given a position up here to Leviathan down into turn 1. So we're going to do the no-stop strategy here on the medium tyres, tyre wear at times 6. Can we get to the end in this Mercedes AMG? So we're going to jump forward here to lap 3, and we're going to come across the most defensive French driver in a Lexus I think I've ever come across. Now if you've been watching any of my live streams just recently, I seem to come across some very defensive drivers, and this Gasquet here, Mr. French Lexus or Mrs. French Lexus, I don't know, I'm not sure what Gasquet means, but either way let's assume that Gasquet means defensive, because this driver honestly defended every single corner. Now we are faster than them, we are getting a run into them. The slipstream did seem quite strong at times. Again, has there been a slight change to the slipstream? I'm not sure. Certainly something that maybe be worth testing in my own time, but we're definitely getting a run on this driver here. And no, I'm not saying they can't go defensive, but when a driver is so clearly quicker than you at lap 4 of a 12 lap race, do you really think you're going to defend every corner for 12 laps? And are you just costing yourself more and more time each and every lap, you know, where you're just letting other drivers get up towards you and maybe costing yourself time in the long run? But anyways, we've been trying to get past this French driver for a bit of time now, and we're going to get a run here out of turn 3 down towards turn 4. He's going to go defensive. We're going to go to the outside here, and he's going to squeeze me onto the grass there and cause me to have a little bit of a moment. Now again, if you watch me on the live streams, you'll know I'll not be particularly happy with that. So the gloves were off at that one, and yeah, we weren't going to be quite so compliant. We had up till this point been very, very kind to the French driver, not really went for any serious dives and, you know, just let them play their game. But if you just notice here, we've got the slipstream down into turn 1, we gave him a flash of the lights, we told him this move was on, we were making this move regardless, and he kind of seemed to get the message and it moves out the way. No, is that bullying? I don't know. Did we bully that driver out the way? I'm not sure. I think it was all fair game. I think he maybe knew the game was up by that point, but it did move us up into, I think, P6 at the time. We are jumping forward here right to the very end. It's the last lap of the race. How are these tyres holding up? Well, we've still got a decent amount of white there on the telemetry in the bottom left hand corner, but I think it'd be fair to say the tyres have seen better days and the lap times have dropped off, as you would expect. A 32.8 our best lap, nothing spectacular. I don't think this car is hugely competitive. And now we're doing mid 1 minute 33s. We're under a lot of pressure from Key, who had a bit of a spin at the chaos on lap 1 and has worked his way up through the pack. But we drove a pretty good last lap, a good defensive lap, just putting our car in the right places. And he got a massive slipstream though in 5th gear in that McLaren, and actually we only finished just ahead by what, just under half a tenth as we came up to the line. That McLaren in the slipstream in that 5th gear, unbelievably quick. But 18.5 minutes was the finishing time. Now we jumped into the race just after that, and I thought, you know what, let's try a pit stop for sides, actually sacrificing a pretty good start to the race up into P Womble as we peel off into the pits on our medium tyres and stick a set of soft tyres on just to get an idea how long is this pit loss going to be, and can we actually make any positions back up, can we make any time back up on the soft tyres. Somewhat amusingly, the driver behind me, Nano, who wasn't in the previous race, has actually come in off his medium tyres as well. Now, he had just had a spin, so maybe he just wanted to put the soft tyres on to have a bit of fun to the end of the race, or maybe he just didn't know he didn't actually need to run the soft tyres and has thought, Womble knows what he's doing normally when it comes to strategy, I'm going to follow him into the pits. But we'll never know, that's for sure. And another driver, actually, a Swiss driver, in the next lap I believe, also pits off his medium tyres onto the soft tyres, so maybe another driver that has not read the rules. But in terms of pit loss, you're looking at 27 seconds, which is a lot of time over a 12 lap race. So yeah, making a pit stop is definitely not the way to go in this one, and to be honest with you, we're only about a second a lap faster per lap as well, and it was only by the end of the race that we actually managed to catch back up to the back of the field. So even though we were significantly faster, I mean, we have made up a lot of time, probably about 20 seconds on some of these drivers. Yeah, there's just no point. One thing I will notice though is there was definitely another couple of laps in those soft tyres. I thought 7 laps would be the kind of around about the range of the soft tyres, given we were kind of maybe only got about 13 max out the medium tyres. So, but it was definitely, I reckon, 9 or 10 laps in those soft tyres. But it makes no difference whatsoever. The best judgment here, we pitted right behind the Hungarian driver, and we finished 15 seconds off that driver by the end of the race. So we maybe made up about 10 to 12 seconds on that driver, which is, you know, it's a long while since I've been to school, but 12 seconds is definitely not 27 seconds. And that is pretty much this race in a nutshell. It's going to be a no-stop strategy on the medium tyres. Only the medium tyres are mandatory. You are going to be struggling with the tyres towards the end. I took a look at the replay of the first race, and some drivers were running out of tyres by lap 11. Unfortunate if that is you, because there is no real alternative strategy, as we've shown by the pit stop there. So you're going to have to just grin and bear the worn tyres and try and find a solution to looking after your tyres. I've got several videos on the channel that will help you to look after your tyres if you go and take a look at them. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The cars of choice are looking like the Nissan GTR from 2018, Shockaroonie. When it comes to a tyre wear race, it's always very strong, always drives very well on the worn tyres. The McLaren 650S is looking strong as well, but it's still early days in the week, so who knows what cars will come to the fore as the week progresses. It's not a terrible race. Group 3 round Interlagos is always good fun, but there was definitely scope for, let's say, an extra lap, tyre wear at times 8, and maybe just make the medium tyres mandatory, but it probably force people into a pit stop and using the soft tyres as well. But it wouldn't be too hard to induce some strategy, or certainly more strategy, into this one with a little bit of tinkering of the settings. But let's move on to a lap guide. The Mercedes AMG 2016 coming down into turn 1. Now, what I kind of do into turn 1 is play a game of how close can I get to the 50 metre board. Now, I don't think you want to get all the way there. You'll certainly be pushing the limits of the braking, but I struggle to find a brake marker, and really that's what I do into turn 1. I see how close can I dare to get to the 50 metre board before hitting the brakes. Coming through the Senna S, you want to sort of make sure you're nice and early on the throttle through turn 3, the curve onto the back straight, and we're coming down to turn 4 now. Now your braking references for turn 4 are the 100 metre board or the little bit of concrete just after the 100 metre board, depending on what car you're in, depending on what tyres you're on, depending how good your tyres are. Your sort of braking reference is going to be somewhere in that region. Clip the curb on the inside, nice and tight over this curb here will save you half a temp on this little straight. And then coming up to the uphill right-hander. 50 metre board is your friend. It's a kind of good turn-in reference point as well. You want to hug the double apex here. There's 2 curbs. You really want to clip both of them. Not let the car understeer too much out, or you can pick up a penalty. And then where that kind of tyre mark comes on to the track is my reference for this tight right-hander. You can see I'm on the brakes just a little bit before that, because the important part of the middle sector is just getting the car into the apex. He's getting the car nice and straight, and yeah, just taking the best line possible through here. You don't want to drift too wide because it just delays you getting on the throttle through all this section. Now I paused the footage a little bit too late here, but it's a bit of sort of bluey-green astroturf on the outside of the track on the left-hand side is your braking reference for this corner here. Again, just the same as the 2 previous hairpins. Make sure you get the car into the apex. Use the curb. It can sometimes help the car come round a little bit. Through the downhill left-hander, it's just about full throttle, but do be careful. If you touch the curb on the inside, it can understeer. And for the last corner, again, I play a similar game to turn number 1. How close can I get to that 50 metre board? Not very close is the answer, to be honest with you, but you'll soon kind of get a feel for the engine revs on the car and just how close you can get to that 50 metre board. You don't want to run too wide or take a bad line through the last corner. Concentrate on the exit, because you need all that oomph up the hill and over the start finish line to complete your lap. There'll be much better lap guides out there from the usual suspects, Digit Key, Mr. Tidgney, of course. Do go and check them out if you're looking for far more intricate detail on how to get a Group 3 car around this track. But hopefully the video has been useful in some way, shape or form. I'm looking forward to this one. I'm thinking about doing an interesting challenge for this week in terms of the Group 3 cars, so do look out for that. There'll certainly be plenty of live streams coming as the week progresses. But thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye now.